हाँ वो वाला भी चेक। नहीं वो नहीं चाहिए। صل علی محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. بابا کو روتے روتے جو زہرا گزر گئی، قل پڑ گیا کہ بنت نبی کوچ کر گئی، فاقوں کے رنج سہ کے حضور پدر گئی، محبوب کبریا کی عزادار مر گئی، 18ویں برس نے یہ آفت دکھائی ہے، آل نبی کو چرخ نے لوٹا دہائی ہے، سبتین گھر میں آئے جو بے تاب و بے قرار، اسماء سے پوچھنے لگے اماں کا حال زار، وہ بولی نیند آ گئی ہے شکر کردگار، کھانا تو جلد کھا لو کہ بھوکے ہو میں نثار، بولے کہ چین دے گا زمانہ تو کھائیں گے، اماں ہمیں کھلائیں گی کھانا تو کھائیں گے، یہ سن کے بے قرار ہوئی وہ جگر فگار، چادر زمیں پہ پھینک کے چلائی بار بار، بچے ہیں ان کو صبر دے اے میرے کردگار، اب وہ کھلانے والی کہاں تم پہ میں نثار، پیارو تمہاری پالنے والی گزر گئی، کھاؤ گے کس کے ہاتھ سے اماں تو مر گئی، شیر خدا تھے مضطر و مغموم ایک طرف، سر پیٹتی تھی زینب کلثوم ایک طرف، پکڑے تھے دل کو سید مسموم ایک طرف، بسمل تھے خاک پر شہ مظلوم ایک طرف، حیدر قریب آئے تو ایک خط نظر پڑا، تڑپے کچھ اس طرح کہ امامہ اتر پڑا، لکھا تھا یہ کہ آخری زحمت قبول ہو، یا شاہ تم وصی جناب رسول ہو، صدقہ حضور کا میرا مقصد حصول ہو، منہ سے نہ کہہ سکی کہ حزین و ملول ہو، میری وصیتیں نہ فراموش کیجیو، اول یہ ہے کہ آپ مجھے غسل دیجیو، دویم یہ ہے کہ شب میں جنازہ اٹھائیو، مردے کا سایہ بھی نہ کسی کو دکھائیو، یہاں تک کہ قبر بھی نہ کسی کو بتائیو، 100 جگہ نشان لحد کا بنائیو، سویم یہ ہے کہ پاس یتیموں کا کیجیو، شفقت سے بولیو کبھی گھڑکی نہ دیجیو، بابا کو روتے روتے جو زہرا گزر گئی، پر محمد و آل محمد صلوات۔
شہادت بی بی فاطمۃ الزہرا سلام اللہ علیہ خاتون جنت کا مرثیہ پیش کرتے ہیں، ایک صلوات۔ اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد وعجل فرجہم۔ جب داخل بہشت رسول خدا ہوئے، یعنی جہاں سے راہی ملک بقا ہوئے، محزون و دل ملول شہ لا فتح ہوئے، سبتین غم نانا کے صرف بکا ہوئے، سبتین غم نانا کے صرف بکا ہوئے، صدمہ ہر ایک کو تھا جناب رسول کا، پر حال غیر سب سے ہوا تھا بطول، پر حال غیر سب سے ہوا تھا بطول کا۔ گاہے علی سے کہتی تھی رو کر وہ دردناک، والی نبی کو تم نے سلایا بزیر خاک، کیوں کر چھپایا خبر میں تم نے وہ روئے پاک، ہے پدر ہلاک ہو بیٹی نہ ہو ہلاک، اتنا تو کہتے پائیں تھی کس کو سلاؤ گے، پوچھا تو ہوتا فاطمہ کو کب بلا، پوچھا تو ہوتا فاطمہ کو کب بلاؤ گے، بھولا تھا اس خلق میں حسین و حسن کا پیار، اور پیار تھا تو یہ تھا کہ کہتی تھی بار بار، کاندھے پہ اپنے نانا کے ہوتے نہیں سوار، اب گیسوئے نبی کو بتانا نہیں مہار، بیٹے تو ماں سے کہتے تھے نانا کدھر گئے، ماں پوچھتی تھی بیٹوں سے بابا کدھر، ماں پوچھتی تھی بیٹوں سے ماں با کدھر گئے، بستر سے تھر تھر آ کے اٹھی تھام کر رسا، خبر نبی پہ فاتحہ آخری پڑا، ہمسائیوں کے گھر گئیں رخصت کو اور کہا، لو صاحبو بہل کرو اب کوچ ہے میرا، ایزا تھی تم سبوں کو میرے شور و شین سے، کل فاطمہ نہ ہوئے گی تم سونا چین، کل فاطمہ نہ ہوئے گی تم سونا چین سے، ہمسایہ کے حقوق سے آگاہ ہے جہاں، لوگوں میرے یتیموں سے رہنا نگہباں، اب ساتھ ان کا اور تمہارا ہے ہم کہاں، بن ماں کی ہوتی ہے میری دکھیاری بیٹیاں، بچپن پہ اپنے بچوں کو کہ آنسو بہاتی ہوں، تم پر حسن حسین کو میں چھوڑ تم پر حسن حسین کو تم پر حسن حسین کو میں
چھوڑ جاتی ہوں۔
رو کر کبھی حسن کو گلے سے لگا لیا، آغوش میں حسین کو گائے بٹھا لیا، رخصت کیا کسی کو بلا لیا، پڑھنے کے واسطے کبھی قرآن اٹھا لیا، کہتی تھی گاہ بچوں سے منہ اپنا موڑ کے، کل سونا گھر میں سونا ہے بستی
کو چھوڑ،
کل سونے گھر میں سونا ہے
بستی کو چھوڑ کے۔
سن لو وصیت میری اس وقت یا امام، فضا سے میری بات عدالت سے لینا کام، ہوشیار فاطمہ کی امانت سے صبح و شام، دو بیٹیاں دو بیٹے ہیں بس اور خدا کا نام، میں نے بڑے دکھوں سے یہ سب بچے پالے ہیں، حق کے حوالے تم پہ تمہارے، حق کے حوالے تم یہ تمہارے
حوالے ہیں۔
سب ہاشمی قسم میری عصمت کی کھاتے ہیں، مجھ کو عرب کے رسم سے اندیشے آتے ہیں، عورت کا مردہ تختے پر رکھ کر اٹھاتے ہیں، آثار اس میں مردے کے سب پائے جاتے ہیں، دیتی ہوں میں قسم تمہیں روح رسول کی، والی نہ یوں اٹھائیو میت والی نہ یوں والی نہ یوں
اٹھائیو میت بطول کی،
ہے آرزو کے قبر میں مجھ کو حسن لٹائے، شبیر میرے مردے کا منہ قبلے کو پھرائے، پھر خود کہا نہیں نہیں بچہ ہے ڈر نہ جائے، ناگاہ کھیلتے ہوئے دونوں یتیم آئے، چھاتی لگا کے بولی کہ لو ہم تو مرتے ہیں، تم سے سلوک دیکھیے کیا لوگ تم سے سلوک
دیکھیے کیا لوگ کرتے ہیں،
لے کر بلائیں بیٹی کی زہرا نے یہ کہا، روتی تو ہوں زیادہ نہ زینب مجھے رلا، کچھ بھائیوں کے سونپنے کا سمجھی مت دعا، تو ان کی رونے والی ہے زہرا تیرے فدا، کیا بس میرا جو مرضی ہے پروردگار ہے، زینب تمام
کنب کی تو سوگوار،
زینب تمام
کنب کی تو سوگوار ہے،
یہ کہتی تھی کہ غش نے دیا موت کا پیام، حجرے سے نکلے روتے ہوئے آخر با تمام، حجرے سے نکلے روتے ہوئے آخر با تمام، ترتیب ناش کے لیے باہر گئے امام، زہرا نے یا مصلی پہ اپنا کیا مقام، لکھا ہے بس نماز عشاء کی ادا ہوئی، اور غل اٹھا کے بنت نبی کی خزا، اور غل اٹھا کے بنت نبی کی خزا
ہوئی،
ماتھا حسن نے مردے کے ماتھے پہ رکھ دیا، رو رو کے اماں اماں کہا اور غش ہوا، تلووں سے اپنے ماتھے کو شبیر نے ملا، پاؤں میں دم نہ پایا تو یہ کان میں کہا، میں آپ کا غلام ہوں اور نور عین ہوں، آواز دو حسین ہوں، آواز دو حسین، میں آپ کا غلام ہوں اور نور عین ہوں، آواز دو حسین، آواز دو حسین ہوں، اماں حسین ہوں۔ Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wajjal faraj.
बराए खुशनुदी इमाम ज़माना बुलंदतर सलवात।
नारे तकबीर, नारे रिसालत, नारे हैदरी, आवाज़ बुलंद सलवात। सल्ले अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद वज्जल फरज।
रहमल्लाहु मन कर सूरत मुबारकतिल फातिहा। औज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहिल्लज़ी ला यब्लुगु मिदहतहुल क़ाइलून वला युहसी नअमाहुल आदून वला युअद्दी हक़्क़हुल मुज्तहिदून अल्लज़ी ला युद्रिकुहु बुअदुल हिमम वला यनालुहु गौसुल फितन अल्लज़ी लैसा लिसिफ़ती हद्दुम महदूद वला नअतुम मौजूद वला वक़्तुम मअदूद वला अजलुम ममदूद फ़तरल ख़लाइक़ बिक़ुदरतिही व नशरर रियाह बिरहमतिही व वत्तदा बिस्सुखूरि मयादानि अर्दिही वस्सलातु वस्सलामु अला अशरफिल अंबियाइ वल मुरसलीन ख़ातमिन नबिय्यीन मुहम्मदिन सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि व आलिहि वसल्लम। वस्सलातु वस्सलामु अला अहलि बैतिहि अत्तय्यिबीन अत्ताहिरीन अल-मासूमीन अल-मज़लूमीन वल्लअनल्लाहु अला अअदाइहिम अजमईन मिनल आन इला क़ियामि यौमिद्दीन। क़ाल अल्लाहु सुब्हानहु व तआला फ़ी किताबिहिल मजीद व फ़ुरक़ानिहिल हमीद। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। फ़ी बुयूतिन अज़िनल्लाहु अन तुरफ़अ व युज़्करा फ़ीहा इस्मुहु युसब्बिहु लहु फ़ीहा बिलग़ुदुव्वि वल आसाल। आमन्ना बिल्लाह व सदक़ल्लाहुल अलिय्युल अज़ीम। अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Nur, which is the 24th surah, ayah number 36, tells us that this lamp of guidance is found in houses in which Allah has allowed to be exalted and His name be mentioned therein. They glorify Him therein in the mornings and the evenings. Mu'mineen, the ayah before this, the ayah 35, as we all know, is the ayah of Nur, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about the rank of the Panjatan Ahlul Kisa, that is Fatimatu Zahra, her father Rasulullah, and her husband Amir al-Mu'mineen, and her sons Hassan alayhi salam and Hussein alayhi salam. And that is another discussion which is quite detailed and it is comprehensive, that we may inshallah get some time. Whenever we get that, we will discuss that. But today we want to discuss a very specific aspect of this, because this is a series of 4 ayahs that came together. And the next ayah after the ayah of Nur is this ayah that we just recited, which Allah says that the lamp of guidance, which He speaks about in verse 35, He says the lamp of guidance is found in a location. That location is where we will talk about today, inshallah, if Allah gives us tawfiq, that Allah says it is a lamp of guidance. And this lamp is found and in which Allah has allowed to be exalted, elevated. And His name is mentioned therein. They glorify Him in the mornings and the evenings. So what it means here is we see that the ayah is a discussion in itself. And it says that this lamp is found in a particular location. What is this location is what we want to discuss. The luminous lamp and the characteristics of the location of that lamp is what Allah is saying. And Allah tells us that which Allah has allowed its walls to be exalted. Not only the people. The people He talks about in the previous verse, the next verse, He tells us that Allah has allowed its walls to be exalted, so that the enemies, the devils, and the promiscuous ones cannot reach it. They are houses that His name shall be remembered therein. And the verses of the Quran and the facts of revelation are read in them. So it is not only the people, but even the house in which they live, they reside, are elevated and exalted. Sallallahu When we look at the tafasir of these ayahs, we see that buyut in this verse is not limited to a mosque or a masjid, because that is the house of Allah where Allah's name is recited and remembered. It refers also to the houses of the prophets and the Ayyam alayhimus salam, because these were places wherein Allah was never forgotten. Nothing diverted them from remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The houses of the prophets were always places from where the flames of Tawheed, purification, as well as glorification of Allah was a general practice. And here in this ayah it says turfa'u. What is turfa'u? It means to raise or elevate the houses. Allah clearly stipulates that these houses can be raised, they can be elevated, and they are a reminder to us about what its worth is, because these are places that no Muslim ever considers as an object of sajda, but rather they all considered that it is a reminder of sajda. Nobody does sajda to Masjidun Nabawi or the Haram of Imam Hussain alayhi salam in Karbala, or whether we are in Najaf in the Haram of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Nobody considers that haram to be an object of sajda. But when we go there, we do sajda because that is a place for reminder of sajda. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now when this ayah was revealed and Rasulullah first narrated it or said it to the people, there is a very interesting tafsir of this, and this comes from the Ahlus Sunnah. We will look at the Ahlus Sunnah side first, and then inshallah we will go further with a glimpse of the Ahlus Shia. In Durul Mansur, Suyuti, a prominent Sunni scholar, as well as other sources of both Shias and Sunnis, there is a hadith that is narrated by two people, Anas bin Malik and Buraida. That when Rasulullah recited this ayah, a man rose from the crowd, from the companions, and asked, Buyut here refers to which house or which houses? And Rasulullah responded that it refers to the house of the prophets. The houses of the prophets. But he paused there. Perhaps he was waiting for another question to come. And yes, it did come. And it was by a very prominent Ahl Sunnah personality, that is the very first Caliph Abu Bakr, that asked this question. At this time, Abu Bakr rose and said, Ya Rasulullah. Why he asked this question, we cannot say. But we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this question was asked. And he says, and he asks, does this house, referring to the house of Ali and Fatima, included in this buyut that you are talking about? And Rasulullah immediately says, yes, it is not only included, it is the most important and the most preferable of all of them. When we look at the tafsir of the Ahlul Bayt, we see our fifth Imam, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, salawatullah salamu alayhi. He explains that these houses are the houses of the prophets, the sages and the infallible Imams. So tonight, we want to talk about the house of Fatimatul Zahra, salawatullahi wa salamu alayha. We see in Islamic history that every time there is a reference to the house of the Ahlul Bayt, it was always referred to as Bayt-e-Fatima. Though in our cultural ways, we see the name of the man having the title of the house, but in this particular case, that house was always referred to as Bayt-e-Fatima. Including the Ahl Sunnah as well as Ahlul Shia, the historians and the Mufassirin have referred this to the house of Fatima. Then we will inshallah at the end also very briefly look at the question that if the house of Fatima, this house that is being referred to, was it attacked or not? So when we see, interestingly, when it comes to the incidents after the shahadat of Rasulullah Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they referred to this house as Bayt-e-Fatima, although it was the house of Imam Ali as well. It was the house of Imams Hassan and Hussein alayhimus salam also. Now, we must understand one thing. There is a ranking system in the entire creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything is not at the same level. Everything has a rank. When we talk about Anbiya and Mursaleen, the prophets and the messengers, there in itself is a rank that Anbiya are the general Nabi that we have, 124,000, and the Mursaleen are 313 who are from amongst them. That means they are ranked and elevated. So Mursaleen are above the Nabi. The Rasul is above the Nabi. However, even within the ranks of the Mursaleen, we see that there are 5 who have been named as Ulul Azm, the highest ranking them. And of them also we know that we have the Sayyidul Anbiya wal Mursaleen, Khatamun Nabiyyin, Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. So all of them are not at the same level. There are ranks even amongst the prophets and the messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then when we see even in the angels, the malaika, they are not all the same. We have Jibrail, we have Israfil, we have Israel, we have Mikail. These are angels of rank over and above the other general angels. This does not mean that the others are lower. No, there are certain creations of Allah who have been given a rank higher. The others do not become lower. We must differentiate that very clearly. When we look at the masajid, the mosques, we see that even in mosques there are ranks. The neighborhood masjid has a rank. However, we see that the Jamia Masjid has a higher rank. The Jamia Masjid is where all the neighborhood mosque people gather to go and do Salatul Jum'ah. But when we look at the masajid, and I'm skipping some parts of this, but the masajid, Masjidul Nabawi is above all masajid, whether it is Jamia or otherwise. And when we look at it, the highest ranking masjid is Masjidul Haram. So there are ranks even in masajid, even in the buildings that are there. And we see this, that everything that we have, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is a ranking system He has given. When we look at Rasulullah, Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we see there is a term that has been used for him specifically, and the term is istafa. Istafa means chosen, the selected one, the chosen one. And in this we see that is why we have the title of Rasulullah as Muhammad al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He is the one who has been chosen. Okay? Now when we see that Allah gives us ranks and He gives us titles, He says Adam alayhi salam was the first human being that He created. He is the father of mankind. But then the flood came, and majority of the human beings perished. And then Nabi Nuh alayhi salam carried on, so he is given the title of the second father of humanity. Thereafter, Allah does not give us names. He tells us, and He chose the descendants of Ibrahim, Al Ibrahim. When it comes to Al Ibrahim, Nabi Ishaq alayhi salam is also the son of Nabi Ibrahim, and Nabi Ishaq alayhi salam is also the son of Ibrahim. From Nabi Ishaq there are so many prophets and the chosen ones, and from Nabi Ismail it ends at the Ahlul Bayt, Rasulullah and Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. So, we must understand that some are selected and some are not selected, even from the families of Nabi Ibrahim and Al Imran. Because there is chosen ones. Not everyone in the family of Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam is a chosen one. There is a rank, there is a generality, and then there is a rank from them. And Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam stand above all this. But it is not only the persons of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam that are elevated and given the rank. Even the places and the things that are associated with them are elevated and acquire special blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whilst I would be diverting, but we'll come back inshallah very quickly just to make a point. That in the time of our 10th Imam, Imam Aliun Naqi salawatullah wasalam alayhi, he called two of his companions to come to his house. And he said that I wish you could go to Karbala, to the grave of my grandfather Hussein alayhi salam, and pray for my health, which was not good at that time. The Imam was asking, not any ordinary person. So the two companions said, Amanna, we will go. But they seemed a little baffled. So Imam says, what is it? He says, our question is very simple. That whilst Hussein is a wasila to Allah, you also are a wasila for us to Allah. Why the difference? Why go to Hussein when you yourself are a shafi, you yourself are a wasila for us? And Imam responded that Allah likes you to go to certain places to worship Him. Like Rasulullah is above all, but he was told to go to the place of Arafat to pray to Allah. We are told that we go to the Haram of Hussein and go to his Zari and pray through him. May Allah grant us all the tawfiq to be able to do the ziyarat of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and all Ayyam alayhimus salam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alihi. So we can see that where the place where Ali and Fatima alayhimus salam lived becomes a selected place. It has a sacred value to it. It's not any ordinary house. So when we recite this ayah, fi buyutin adina Allahu an turfa'u wa yudhakkaru fiha ismuhu يُسَبِّحُ لَهُ فِيهَا بِالْغُدُوِّ وَالْآصَالِ. This lamp of guidance is found in these houses, which Allah has allowed to be exalted. It is not us that we have revolved and evolved to make these houses sacred. Allah has made them sacred. The very next ayat is even also interesting, like every ayah of Quran. When we say this ayah is very interesting and it has a very deep meaning, each and every word, or even more than that, every harf, whether it's a fatha or a kasra or a dhamma, has its value when it is in the Quran because it has a meaning to it. We don't know all those depth meanings is our issue, but it has a meaning. The very next verse, Allah tells us that these houses and these people who are in these houses, who are they? And He says, رِجَالٌ لَا تُلْهِيهِمْ تِجَارَةٌ وَلَا بَيْعٌ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَإِقَامَ الصَّلَاةِ وَإِيتَاءِ الزَّكَاةِ يَخَافُونَ يَوْمًا تَتَقَلَّبُ فِيهِ الْقُلُوبُ وَالْأَبْصَارُ. The people of that house are men whom neither merchandise nor selling diverts them from the remembrance of Allah, and the keeping up of prayer and the giving of charity. They fear a day in which the hearts and the eyes shall turn about. Even for a moment they did not forget Allah. They were not ordinary people. They were people whom Allah had elevated. We see this, and they were fearing the day of Qiyamah. We forget, because we are human beings who are sinful, and we forget. Sometimes we feel pious, so we do some more ibadat. Sometimes we are negligent because we don't want to go because of our sins. So these are things that we should understand, that these are personalities, not any ordinary personalities. It is unfortunate that the people of their time did not honor them the way they should have been honored. To such an extent that even for Rasulullah, they used to call him, "Oh Muhammad," sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Until Allah sends an ayah in the Quran that he is no ordinary person, do not call him the way you call each other. Give him that respect and honor that he deserves. So this is a very important aspect. And we see that the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam are those who never forgot Allah, the remembrance of Allah. And they feared the day of judgment. Even in Surah Dahr, when they were giving charity on those 3 nights, we all know. The next thing that Allah tells us is because they fear the day of judgment. Mu'minin, this is a small thing that we all need to take a cue from. If Amirul Mu'minin says he fears the day of Qiyamah, where do I place myself? Inshallah, we hope for the shafa'at of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. But there has to be some effort within us as well to be going towards that maqam where we are in fear of Allah and the fear of the day of judgment. So it is the ayah also says that the hearts and minds of people will be transformed on that day. Everything will be crystal clear. Saying crystal clear is probably even lesser. It's clearer than that. On that day, everything will come in front of us as a very clear thing. What I was, what I did, what I did not do, all this will come right in front of me. There will be no argument, though Allah will present His hujjah. But we will have no arguments against it because it will be right across our face. What we thought when we did what we did. Because Allah is Alimul Ghaibi wa Shahada. So we must understand this, and nobody will be able to deny the truth. So the question is, Why did this question, when this ayah was recited, Buyutan Azina Lillah, why was these questions came? We show our gratitude and thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that these questions came up during the time of Rasulullah and he himself answered this to show us the elevation and the ranks of the houses of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. When we look at the historical aspects as well as the tafasir, we see, and this is our problem because we don't understand Arabic, so we go into translation. And one of the issues of translation is we are at the mercy of the translator. How he has understood it. When it comes to Arabic, majority of the teachings are in its originality. So we have to understand this, that sometimes even in Quran, when we look at translations, yes, it is an important aspect. My young children, remember this, we must try and understand Quran as much as we can in the language that we understand. There is no doubt about it. But use the right ones, the right translations. So we see that Abu Bakr is questioning Rasulullah, saying, Adhal Bayti, Minha Labbayti, Aliin wa Fatima. In the houses that you are mentioning, really is Ali and Fatima's house in it? And Rasulullah says, Naam, min afdaliha. It is higher in rank than all those houses of the prophets. It is unfortunate that whenever the time of Fatimyya comes, the shahadat of Sayyidah comes, once again, every year, every time, people raise their heads. Did this really happen? Was the house of Fatima really attacked? Was fire taken to her door? Was it broken? Did Mohsin become shaheed? These things come up. The more unfortunate part is it is not raised by the Sunnis only. There are only a few, there is a certain groups only. Even the Ahl Sunnah believe in this because these are narrations in their books. But the most unfortunate part is these days we even have some of the Shia Zakirin who sit on the mimbar of Rasulullah, on the mimbar of the father of Fatimah al-Zahra, and yet create these doubts amongst the public. So how do we combat it? The only way to combat it is for us as ordinary laymen to sit and get more knowledge about the real history of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam and understand the real principles of the Quran. It is our fard. It is obligatory upon us, especially in these times of the internet, where we get bombarded from Zakirin on YouTube and all other channels. We have to understand whom do we want to follow and whom we can discard. Sallu ala Muhammad. Is there evidence about this? Yes, there is evidence that Fatima's house was attacked and Rasulullah's daughter was injured. So, what is it? What is that we see? We see that there is a narration by prominent Sunnis. I may take a couple of more minutes so that I can finish this subject today, inshallah. And he says, there is an incident that is reported by Abu Ubaid. He narrated that Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, a very prominent Ahl Sunnah Sahabi and companion of Rasulullah, he goes to the house of Abu Bakr as his friend. Now, Abdul Rahman ibn Auf also comes back again in prominence in history after the third Khalifa as well, during the time of the third Khalifa. And he describes his visit to Abu Bakr when he was on his deathbed. Abu Bakr is on his deathbed, so Abdurrahman ibn Auf goes to visit Abu Bakr and pay him his respects, and it is at this time that Abu Bakr tells him that I have no regrets about anything that I have done in my life except 3 that I wish I could have asked Rasulullah for it in his lifetime. But that is a discussion on its own, it is separate. But he says that there are 3 things that I did and I regret that I should not have done this. And Abu Ubaid reports that there are 2 things that he names them, and then the 3rd thing he says, Kada wa kada. I forgot. He doesn't say if I forgot. He says, you know, when we put in English language, ... and etc. The 3rd thing was etc. Abu Ubaid is a very authentic Sunni scholar. Yet, when it comes to this part, he hides it because he does not feel comfortable about it. But we can hide the truth as much as we can. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reveal the truth. And when we look at Tabari is a very famous Sunni scholar who comes immediately in the time after Abu Ubaid dies. He in his life, he was a mujtahid, he was a historian, he was a mufassir of Quran, a very intelligent personality and very highly respected, such that he did not even do taqleed of any of the 4 imams of Ahl Sunnah. He used to do his own taqleed. He reports this incident. And Tabari refers that Abu Bakr had 3 regrets, the same way that Abu Ubaid said. But he names the 3rd regret that Abu Bakr had. He says, وَأَمَّا ثَلَاثَ وَدَدْتَ أَنِّي تَرَكْتُهُنَّ فَوَجَدْتَ لَمْ أَكْشِفْ بَيْتِ فَاطِمَةَ عَنْ شَيْءٍ. I wish I would not have exposed or opened up the house of Fatima. But the word he uses is ikshif. Ikshif means to open and expose, but forcefully open and expose, not only open and expose. So this is what it means. And this was a regret of Abu Bakr on his deathbed, because now probably things were becoming clearer and clearer for him of what he did. He says, I wish I would not have done it, even if they had closed the door for the purpose of fighting. Even if they would close the door for conspiring to wage war against me, I should not have exposed the door of Fatima. That was his regret. So we come to this point, that this is a confession. Confession by Abu Bakr in his Khilafat that he did something that he should not have done. The principle here we take is that we take a confession from their sources. But what actually happened, how did it affect the victims and the mazlumeen? We don't have to go to them to ask. We have our own sources which tell us what happened and when it happened, what happened to the people of the house. And we go and ask the mazloom. And we see this, that in the time of our 8th Imam, Imam Ali ibn Musa Rida, salawatullah salamu alayhi, we see that one day he sees his son, Imam Jawad alayhi salam, who was a 4-year-old child, sitting on the floor but looking at the sky. So Imam Raza alayhi salam asks, "Oh my son, what are you thinking about?" And Imam Jawad alayhi salam responded by saying, "I am thinking of what went through my grandmother Fatimatu Zahra salawatullahi wassalamu alayha." But this was the beginning of the atrocities that were committed towards the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. This is not the end. This wasn't the only thing. This was the beginning. Muslims within 2 days after the shahadat of Rasulullah forgot the ayah of Quran. They forgot the importance of the house of Fatima. They forgot the importance of Fatima. The same door, when after the revelation of Ayat Tathir for 6 months, morning and evening, Rasulullah used to go stand outside the door and salute that door, "O people of the house. Innama yuridullahu liyudhiba ankum rijsa." So when we see the title of Khalifa Awwal, he also used to call it Bayt Fatima. And they went there, and a messenger was sent. There were about 10 to 12 prominent ashab of Amir al-Mu'mineen who were in that house at that time. So we see that a messenger was sent because the second Khalifa to be, Umar al-Khattab, went again and again and again to Khalifa Awwal and saying, "You should not allow this. You should not tolerate this. You must do something about this so that this whole conspiracy stops." Finally, a messenger was sent to the house of Fatima. And they said that you should tell all the people inside the house, the men, to come out. But Amir al-Mu'mineen rejected that and said, "No, I will not do that." It is at this time when Umar comes with a group of people, some of whom who had firewood in their hands. They came to the door of Fatima, and a conversation ensued between Fatima, who was behind the door, and Umar in the front. They came to the door. It was Fatima to Zahra who answered Umar's call. And Umar threatened that if you will not remove all the men in the house, we will burn this house with all that are there inside it. Umar said, "Send them out, otherwise I will burn down the house with its occupants." And Fatima Zahra responded, "But this is my house." Who is responding? Fatima to Zahra bint Rasulullah, that this is my house. How can you do this? My children are in this house. These are your prophet's grandchildren who are also in the house. I am your prophet's daughter. How can you do this to my house? And the response that came from the group outside is, "We don't care." So to emphasize, Fatima also said, "But Hassan and Hussein are also in this house. These are the Sayyid Shababi Ahlil Jannah. They are in the house as well." But they said, "We don't care even then." What happens next is they came with firewood to the house, to the door of Fatima. They put fire on the door. They forced it open such that the door broke from its hinges, and it pressed Fatima between the wall and the door when they entered the house. In that, Allama Amini tells us that it is very easy to say that the door pressed Fatima to the wall and injured her, but it came out from the hinges, and there was a nail from the hinges that came and injured Fatima by piercing into her body. Mohsin was lost. At this time, Fatima called out, "Fidda, come and help me. I have lost my child." And they went in, the group went in. They put a rope again on the neck of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and they dragged Ali from the house, taking him to the court, to the masjid, and asking him to pledge allegiance to the Khalifa. Amir al-Mu'mineen asked a question when he was forced to do this. If I do not pledge this allegiance, what will you do? And the answer came, we will chop off your neck. At this time, Fatimatu Zahra stabilized a little, and the first question she asked, where is Ali? Where is Ali? And she was told that they have dragged him away to the court. So she took her guards and put on her kaba and went to the masjid and says, Khallu Abul Hasan, leave Abul Hasan. Fatima goes with Fizza to release Ali. And when she was told that we will not do it, Fatima says, I will remove my hair and I will pray for the curse of Allah upon all of you. It is at this time that Abu Bakr told the people, including Umar, you will not demand allegiance from Ali as long as Fatima is with him, with her. We understand here that Fatima did not only protect Ali from being killed on that day because the plan was already there, but she protected entire imamat on that day. And she was not the only one. After her, there came a time when Zainab in the courtyard of Ibn Ziyad, when he wanted to kill Imam Zainul Abidin, she stood in front of Imam Zainul Abidin and said, Oh Ibn Ziyad, if you want to kill this son of ours, you will have to kill me first. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون.
تیری امت نے میرے در پھر وہ جلتا ہوا در پھر وہ جلتا ہوا در مجھ پہ گرایا بابا تیری امت نے میرے کو جلایا بابا تیری امت نے میرے کو جلایا بابا راکھتی شعلے تھے سہمے ہوئے بچے یا دعا میرے آنگن میں تھا ایک شام غریبہ کا سامان در ہٹا کر مجھ فضا نے اٹھایا بابا میری امت نے میرے در کو جلایا بابا تیری امت نے میرے در کو جلایا لے چلے قیدی بنا کر جو علی کو دشمن میں نے چھوڑا نہیں حیدر کی ابا کا دامن تازیانوں میں مگر مجھ سے چھڑایا بابا تیری امت نے میرے در کو جلایا بابا تیری امت در کو جلایا بابا خود یہ دیکھا ہے تیرے شہر کی دیواروں نے ایسی غربت تھی کہ ہاتھوں सितमगारों ने रस्सियाँ बांध के हैदर को फिराया बाबा, तेरी उम्मत ने मेरे दर को जलाया बाबा, तेरी उम्मत ने मेरे दर को जलाया बाबा। कौन सा दर है जहाँ पे की बेटी ना गई, बात सुनना तो कुजायू हुई इज्जत मेरी, कोई दरवाजे से बाहर नहीं आया बाबा, तेरी उम्मत ने मेरे दर को जलाया बाबा, तेरी उम्मत ने मेरे दर को जलाया बाबा। अर्श और फर्श पे महसिन हुआ कोहराम पबा, जिस घड़ी रो के विलायत की शहीदा ने कहा, मुझको हंस हंस के ज़माने, मुझको हंस हंस के ज़माने ने रुलाया बाबा, तेरी उम्मत ने मेरे दर को जलाया बाबा। या हुसैन, या हुसैन,
हुसैन आया है देखो तो एक नजर अम्मा, हुसैन आया है देखो तो एक नजर अम्मा, सदाए देता है कब से तेरा पिसर अम्मा, हुसैन आया है देखो तो एक नजर अम्मा, वो देखो ज़ैनब कुलसूम रो रही है वहाँ, वो देखो ज़ैनब कुलसूम रो रही है वहाँ, तड़प के भैया हंसन कर रहे हैं आहो फुगा, तड़प के भैया हंसन कर रहे
आहो बुका,
न जाओ ऐसे भरे घर को छोड़ कर अम्मा, हुसैन आया है देखो तो एक नजर क्यों हमसे रूठ के जाती हो इस तरह बोलो, क्यों हमसे रूठ के जाती हो इस तरह हमसे, मैं तुमको जाने नहीं दूंगा, आंख तो खोलो, मैं तुमको जाने नहीं दूंगा, आंख तो खोलो, नहीं तुम्हारे बिना उम्र का बसर अम्मा, हुसैन आया है देखो तो एक नजर अम्मा, ये कैसा दौर हमें वक्त ने है दिखलाया, ये कैसा दौर हमें वक्त ने है दिखलाया, سروں سے اٹھ گیا بچپن میں آپ کا سایہ، سروں سے اٹھ گیا بچپن میں
آپ کا سایہ،
کٹے گا کیسے تیرے بعد یہ سفر اماں حسین آیا ہے دیکھو تو ایک نظر صدا دیتا ہے کب سے تیرا پسر اماں حسین آیا ہے دیکھو تو ایک نظر اماں
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا عباس، ہر دل نے پکارا یا عباس، یا عباس، ہر دل نے پکارا یا عباس، اور یا عباس ہر دل کا سہارا یا عباس، یا عباس ہر دل نے پکارا یا عباس، یا عباس پکارا ابا ہو جاتا ہے ہر دل میں پیدا جوش وفا، ہو جاتا ہے ہر دل میں وفا، آپ ذرا کر دیں جو اشارہ یا عباس، یا عباس ہر دل نے پکارا یا عباس، یا عباس ہر دل نے پکارا یا عباس، شاہ فلک کو دیکھ رہے ہیں حسرت سے، شاہ فلک کو دیکھ رہے سے، شاہ فلک کو دیکھ رہے ہیں حسرت سے، شاہ فلک کو دیکھ رہے ہیں حسرت سے، اور کوئی نہیں بھائی کا سہارا یا عباس، یا عباس ہر دل نے پکارا یا عباس، یا عباس ہر دل نے پکارا یا عباس، اور یا عباس ہر دل کا سہارا یا عباس، یا عباس ہر دل نے پکارا یا عباس، یا حسین 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 یا الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك يا أبي القاسم يا رسول الله يا المصطفى محمد بن عبد الله. السلام عليك يا أبي الحسن أمير المؤمنين المرتضى علي بن أبي طالب. السلام عليك يا فاطمة بنت محمد الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا أبا محمد حسن بن علي الناصح المجتبى. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين بن علي سيد الشهداء. السلام عليك يا أبا الفضل العباس بن أمير المؤمنين. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا أبا الحسن علي بن الحسين زين العابدين. السلام عليك يا أبا جعفر محمد بن علي الباقر. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله جعفر بن محمد الصادق. السلام عليك يا أبا الحسن موسى بن جعفر الكاظم. السلام عليك يا أبا الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا. السلام عليك يا أبا جعفر محمد بن علي التقي الجواد. السلام عليك يا أبا الحسن علي بن محمد أيها الحادي النقي. السلام عليك يا أبا محمد حسن بن علي الزكي العسكري. السلام عليك يا إمام صاحب العصر والزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك. السلام عليك يا سيدي يا ابن رسول الله ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل الساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه عرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل
तमाम उम्र मुनासिल तिमा से एक सूरह फातिहा कुल मोमिन और मोमिनात के लिए पढ़ दें और ख़ासकर अपने सेंटर के जो भी फौत हो गए उनके लिए।